Hello everyone. Welcome to our video. In this video, we will ensure that all of you will understand more about international trading and globalization, open economic activities and the exchange rates, and economic growth. Let's start with the question, what is international trade? International trade came from the word international, which is related to two or more nations, and the word trade, which means buying and selling goods and services. So to make it simple, international trade is the exchange of goods and services between countries. Now that you've known the meaning of international trade, the next question will be, why do countries trade globally? Well, trading globally gives consumers and countries the opportunity to be exposed to goods and services which are not available in their own countries, and to expand their markets and access goods and services that otherwise may not have been available domestically. International trade allows wealthy countries to use their resources, for example, labor, technology, or capital more efficiently. Different countries are endowed with different assets and natural resources such as land, labor, capital, and technology. This allows some countries to produce the same goods more efficiently, or in other words, more quickly and at lower cost. Therefore, they may sell it cheaper than other countries. If a country cannot efficiently produce an item, it can obtain it by trading with another country that can. This is known as specialization in international trade. Adam Smith and David Ricardo describe that specialization relates to absolute advantage and comparative advantage. In isolation, absolute advantage describes a scenario in which one entity can manufacture a product at a higher quality and faster rate for a greater profit than another competing business or country can accomplish. Absolute advantage looks at the efficiency of producing a single product. Comparative advantage takes a more holistic view, with the perspective that a country or business has the resources to produce a variety of goods. Comparative advantage differs in that it takes into consideration the opportunity costs involved when choosing to manufacture multiple types of goods with limited resources. The opportunity cost of a given option is equal to the forfeited benefits that could have been achieved by choosing an available alternative in comparison. Global trade seems to give many advantages to the countries involved. But to maintain and to keep the global trade organized, it is necessary to apply protection for each nation to comply. Protectionism refers to government policies that restrict international trade to help domestic industries. Protectionist policies are usually implemented with the goal to improve economic activity within a domestic economy, but can also be implemented for safety or quality concerns. Critics argue that over the long term, protectionism often hurts the people and entities it is intended to protect by slowing economic growth and increasing price inflation, making free trade a better alternative. Meanwhile, proponents of protectionism argue that the policies can help to create domestic jobs, increase gross domestic product, GDP, and make a domestic economy more competitive globally. Primary policy tools for protectionist policies includes tariffs, import quotas, product standards, government subsidies, foreign exchange controls. For the next part, we are going to talk about globalization. Globalization came from the word global, which is related to the whole world. So globalization is simply the spread of products, technology, information, jobs and many other things across national borders and cultures of the whole world. In economic terms, globalization describes an interdependence of nations around the globe fostered through free trade. Corporations in developed nations can gain a competitive edge through globalization. Developing countries also benefit through globalization as they tend to be more cost-effective and therefore attract jobs. However, the benefits of globalization have been questioned as the positive effects are not necessarily distributed equally. One clear result of globalization is that an economic downturn in one country can create a domino effect through its trade partners. Here are some important factors influencing globalizations. Historical. The trade routes were made over the years so that goods from one kingdom or country moved to another, for example Silk Road. Economy. The cost of goods and values to the end user determine the movement of goods and value addition. Politics. The political issues of a country make globalization channelized as per political bosses. Industrial organization. The The technological development in the areas of production, product mix and firms are helping organizations to expand their operations. Technologies. The stage of technology in a particular field gives rise to import or export of products or services from or to the country. Now these are the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. The advantages are increased flow of capital, better products at lower prices, collaboration and shared resources, cross-cultural exchange, spread of knowledge and technology, and increased open-mindedness and tolerance. The disadvantages are unequal economic growth, lack of local businesses, increases potential global recessions, exploits cheaper labor markets, and causes job displacement. The second topic we will discuss is about open economic activities and exchange rates. Before proceeding any further, first we need to understand the definition of open economy. An open economy is a type of economy where not only domestic factors but also entities in other countries engage in trade of products, goods and services. Trade can take the form of managerial exchange, technology transfers, and all kinds of goods and services. So to put it simply, open economic activities are trading activities which include other countries in the process. Now that we have learned about open economic activities, one important question needs to be answered is, where are the international transactions of a country going to be recorded? All of the transactions which involves any factions outside of the country is recorded in the balance of payments. What is balance of payments? The balance of payments, also known as balance of international payments, summarizes all transactions that a country's individuals, companies, and government bodies complete with individuals, companies, and government bodies outside the country over a defined period of time, such as a quarter or a year. These transactions consist of imports and exports of goods, services, and capital, as well as transfer payments, such as foreign aid and remittances. A country's balance of payments and its net international investment position together constitute its international accounts. How is the transaction presented in balance of payments? The balance of payments divides transactions in two accounts, the current account and the capital account. The current account includes transactions in goods, services, investment income, and current transfers. The capital account, broadly defined, includes transactions in financial instruments and central bank reserves. Narrowly defined, it includes only transactions in financial instruments. The current account is included in calculations of national output, while the capital account is not. If a country cannot fund its imports through exports of capital, it must do so by running down its reserves. This situation is often referred to as a balance of payments deficit, using the narrow definition of the capital account that excludes central bank reserves. In reality, however, the broadly defined balance of payments must add up to zero by definition. In practice, statistical discrepancies arise due to the difficulty of accurately counting every transaction between an economy and the rest of the world, including discrepancies caused by foreign currency translations. After learning about open economy and exchange rates, we can move forward to the next section, which is foreign exchange rate. Foreign trade involves the use of different national currencies. The foreign exchange rate is the price of one currency in terms of another currency. The foreign exchange rate is determined in the foreign exchange market, which is the market where different currencies are traded. We measure the foreign exchange rate, E, as the amount of foreign currency that can be bought with 1 unit of domestic currency. Like most other prices, foreign exchange rates vary from week to week and month to month according to the forces of supply and demand. The foreign exchange market is the market in which currencies of different countries are traded and foreign exchange rates are determined. Foreign currencies are traded at the retail level in many banks and firms specializing in that business. The balance of supply and demand for foreign exchange determines the foreign exchange rate of a currency. At the market exchange rate of 100 yen per dollar shown at point E in figure below, the exchange rate is in equilibrium and has no tendency to rise or fall. Here are the key factors which affects foreign exchange rates. 1. Inflation rates. 2. Interest rates. 3. Country's balance of payments. 4. Government debt. 5. Terms of trade. 6. Political stability. 7. Recession. 8. Speculation. In open economy, the government also has a duty with issuing the government economy policy. An open economy is a type of economy where not only domestic factors but also entities in other countries engage in trade of products, goods and services. There are three major issues to be considered by the government in an open economy: unemployment, inflation, balance of payments deficit. However, the real problem occurs when government faces two of these issues simultaneously, such as unemployment and BOP deficit. Government policies to solve unemployment and BOP deficit have to boost exports and reduce imports, for example, import restrictions, foreign exchange controls, devaluation of country's currency, inflation and BOP deficit. Government policies to solve inflation and BOP deficit have to decrease aggregate expenditures and economic activities, for example, raising income tax rates, raising interest rates and reducing money supplies, cutting government spending. What is devaluation? Devaluation is the deliberate downward adjustment of the value of a country's money relative to another currency, group of currencies, or currency standard. Countries that have a fixed exchange rate or semi-fixed exchange rate use this monetary policy tool. It is often confused with depreciation and is the opposite of revaluation, which refers to the readjustment of a currency's exchange rate. One reason a country may devalue its currency is to combat a trade imbalance. Devaluation reduces the cost of a country's exports, rendering them more competitive in the global market, which, in turn, increases the cost of imports. If imports are more expensive, domestic consumers are less likely to purchase them, further strengthening domestic businesses. While devaluing a currency may be an attractive option, it can have negative consequences. Increasing the price of imports protects domestic industries, but they may become less efficient without the pressure of competition. Higher exports relative to imports can also increase aggregate demand, which can lead to higher gross domestic product (GDP) and inflation. Inflation can occur because imports become more expensive. We're now on the last topic for today's video: economic growth. First, let's find out what is economic growth. Economic growth is an increase in the production of economic goods and services, compared from one period of time to another. Economic growth represents the expansion of a country's potential GDP or national output. The growth in output per capita is an important objective of the government because it is associated with rising average real incomes and rising living standards. Now you might ask, what influences the economic growth of a country? Economists who have studied growth have found that the engine of economic progress must ride on the same four wheels, no matter how rich or poor the country. These four wheels, or factors of growth, are human resources, such as labor supply, education, and skills. A skilled or educated labor force has a significant effect on growth since skilled workers are more productive. Natural resources, such as lands, minerals, and fuels. Discovery of more natural resources may boost economic growth as it shifts or increases the country's production possibility curve. Capital, such as factories, machinery, and roads. Increased investment in physical capital such as factories, machinery, roads will lower the cost of the economic activity because better factories and machinery imply to a better efficiency and productivity. Technological change and innovation, such as science, engineering, and entrepreneurship. Technology could increase productivity with the same level of labor, thus accelerating growth and development. You've now reached the end of this video. We hope that you fully understand the topics that we covered. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and comment down below. Thank you for watching.